world of humans has one guiding rule. One must fight to survive. Yet you'll always find those eager to play God and pass judgment over others. What utter madness.
Chief, what changed you like this?
How many have sacrificed their lives in pursuit of a sliver of happiness? The wish to be with those they love.
No one can change humanity forever. Not outers, not humans.
All I want is to destroy this divided world, then share its remains equally among those strong enough to survive.
What are you?
The same as you. A non-human being created by human hands. The name they first bestowed on me was Damon.
Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I know Vikram's doing well behind bars, enjoying his daily visitations from his fellow inmates on his cell block. And I looked into it. So a lot of people are delusional about like how it's gonna go down for this guy, right? And what they don't know about the history of this guy is he took, he stole, and he got charged for it, ceremonial daggers and knives from a Sikh temple, and then like he got charged for it, and then like whatever, yeah, that has that on his record. So he's stealing from his fellow Sikh mans and shit. Man has like a fucking obsession with knives and shit. And I know those types of people who are like, you know, life didn't deal them a good hand, you know, whether they're, you know, physically disabled or whatever, and they have an affinity for weapons. And like, you know, God bless them, because it's like, you know that it's just a cope. You know that it's just a ruse to like pull that veil over your eyes. And like the shit got dark, you know, like I didn't want to like really look into it, and then I just saw this like video on my feed, and it's like Vikram's brother calling 999, so their version of 911, I guess, in the UK. I'm like, I really don't want to go through with this. Like, I don't want to watch this shit. And it just like kept passing it by over and over and over again. It got like something like almost close to 1 million views at this point. So I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, this video is never gonna go away, man. Like, it's just gonna constantly be on my feed about like what this 999 call was and like what he said and shit. And it's like, first, I not only was right about the whole robbery gone wrong and shit, but like the complicity of his brother is almost absolute. Like, if you want to actually point the finger and blame the person, the individual who ended Henry's life, rather like outside of Vikram, right? It would be his brother, because his brother's making the phone call, his brother's lying it up, making up all this shit about he attacked us, he racially attacked us, he's like drunk and stuff, and he knocked out over his turban and shit. Man's got fucking knifed in the back of his legs, in his back, in his hands. You see all of his hands, and this is like what's so fucked up. I was like, can you imagine you're a cop and you see his hands are all like cut up and shit like that, and you're just like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you don't get this from like, you know, scraping your hands and shit. Like, this is you fighting off something and stuff. But, you know, you don't ask those questions because, you know, you're a cucked out nation. You're a cucktard nation. That, like, you see a guy like Henry, right? And I made this comment before in my previous video, but maybe I should elaborate on it more. So TRT, PEDs, physical enhancing drugs, like, they have this effect on your face. I call it like the round face, the balloon face, and like, it's ironic how like it looks so similar to like people who come from like a specific background, inbred, all that shit, right? Like, they have those disabilities and shit, and it's just, it's weird how they have like that kind of roundish, babyish face and shit. But like, you see guys like Henry and like other guys, like I'll give you like a example. So rehab room and all the incels, I don't know if they glorify, like, I think they mock the glorification of like the public's view on Jeremy Meeks, this former criminal turned like supermodel and shit. And they're like, you know, it's over because it's like a guy like this is so handsome, and like, you know, he can get away with anything, and you're ugly, and you're just gonna go to jail and shit. And like, unfortunately, there is some truth to that, right? But like, shit like this, like we wouldn't be so objective, like objectifying, if like guys didn't do it so much. So if guys didn't do it so much, girls wouldn't have to do it so much in response. And like, I'm not saying that like one gender, like guys exclusively are guilty of this, like 100%. I'm just saying most of it comes from the guys and shit. And then like when you have that subsequently with like people who are ugly and shit, like it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. It's like it's expected that people who are of a better appearance, stature, or whatever, like ratio, whatever the fuck, face ratio. This the incels call it, the face maxing, geo maxing, looks matching. My brain's fucking dying, dude. I'm going. And Rehab was making a video yesterday talking about like how it's necessary to like actually do the shit that I was telling him and his whole chat room to do the whole time, and it's like it's not that bad, but he's like talking about how it releases endorphins and shit. I'm like, yeah, it does, but it also makes you stronger, progressively stronger. And like the same thing could be said about playing video games, right? I'm gonna start uploading footage of me ratting in Arc Raiders, and then subsequently I'm going to start playing Marathon, because I got to get into the whole PvP gaming, because that's like something I've been they jacked up well, not really jacked up the price, they raised the price on PlayStation Plus annual subscription to like 109 here in Canada, 109.99, so basically $110 a year. And normally I would complain, but then I just bought like Slave Zero X with the special edition, because like I said previously, like I like the artist Francine Bridges, like her art's just it just takes you in there, and like I like the whole game aesthetic, how it's like really trying to harken back to the whole Sega Saturn, Sega era of gaming, arcade era of gaming, which I find to be like a lost art of like very vibrant, well animated sprites with a specific like type of like filtering and like art style and all that shit. But more back onto the topic of stuff. Oh goddamn, I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about. Oh shit. Oh yeah, we're talking about like stuff. So like I was saying, like Vikram's brother, right? Like basically got Henry murdered from like painting out the story to be like some like racist ass white boy, starting shit with his brother, knocking off his turban, pulling his hair, doing all this like bullshit that was basically like used as a cover, an obvious cover by not only Vikram but his brother, the mother, the father, to like basically kill this kid. And it goes without saying that like he's not gonna have a very good time in jail. He's gonna have the very worst time in jail. He's going to have a very happy Pride Month in jail, which is ironic because he got put away like not too long ago. So he's enjoying his new found sexuality, his new sexual preference, his new sexual positions. He's finding out new shit every day, and we have to celebrate his tasting of the rainbow, if you will, because it is very well deserved. And like I think like in his case the death penalty would be a little bit lenient, but for his family members, that's a different story. That's a different story, because you see, there is a concerted effort with the Sikhs and the Pakistanis to kill off Caucasians and then subsequently all the other native population, to like make way for the caliphate, for the grooming, the child raping, girl raping, like victimizing. Like there's a certain like distinction with these types of people where they get a perverse and like sadistic pleasure out of torturing women. It's almost as if like they they hate women. Like, happy Pride Month for them, I guess, but there's no more victims for them. Everybody seems to be taking my advice. Everyone seems to be, you know, getting into large groups of people, being very exclusionary, very questionable of outside ethnicities, outside groups, and, you know, being very prideful during the month of Pride. Dudes. We also have to look into, like, the idea of pride being like the downfall of some people, you know, where they're like they have too much of it and then inevitably causes them to like spiral downwards into like a pit of despair. Now, I didn't bring this up, but I found this actually really fucking weird. And I bring up like Noah Samson very sporadically, like very sparingly, because he doesn't really interest me all that much. He's just a one note type of dude that's like, you know those types of people who pretend to be outraged and pretend to like care about stuff, but in actuality they're actually really sadistic people who get off on the idea that like you can't prove 100% that they're evil, but then like you know it's just like that tug of war. It's like arguing with a crazy person type shit, you know. So, you know, we all like Asmongold. Well, I do. I think a lot of other people do. Maybe Asmongold doesn't like me though. Anyways, Noah Samson is also an Asmongold fan. Oh yeah, that's right. He's such a fan that for some reason, get this, he put like his background. I don't know how he did this. He did some like green screen ass shit where he took like the background that Asmongold uses in his room. Like I know like Asmongold is his actual room, which is Noah Samson's background. But like for some reason he took off the American. Well, he obviously took off the American flag. He's a fucking bitch. You know what I mean? Like you live in a country that's like fucking taking care of you. It has like the best economy in the world, best defense. It's like the only country out there defending Israel and shit. Everybody's like just like handing them money, like whether voluntarily or involuntarily and shit. But it's just like when you think about Iran, when you think about Israel, when you think about Ukraine, like there's not really that many countries that are taking an active role in defending them outside of America. And now we're seeing like the utter hatred of Americans from like very happy, proud individuals, very eccentric individuals, if you will. And unlike me, my flamboyant ass, like they're not likable. They're not like, you know, you can't persuade them to act non-maniacal because it's the unfortunate reality that they have sold themselves out, basically, right? Like they've joined a cause for a group of people that are killing them, like actively killing them and stuff. I remember seeing this one, you know, it was pretty recent on the BBC. Like it was this like trans man, well, trans woman, right? Fuck. So if it's a man to a woman, it's a trans woman, right? Okay. So trans woman, and he's like well, sorry, fuck it. Like they're making like a speech about their party, whatever, right? And then like obviously their constituents happen to be a bunch of guys in the Middle Eastern, all kafifaed up, all like, you know, neck bearded out. They can't even smile. You know, you like show the facetious smile of these individuals. It's just like, shit, man. This is what it takes for us to win, to be like, you know, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand with these fucking, you know, degenerate scum. And make no mistake, like the right wing does the same. Like they are very much infiltrating into the spaces of normal ass people. And I think that like we have to break bread with the idea that like people aren't happy with themselves. It's okay. All right, like as I started losing weight and I realized why I did it in the first place, I kind of felt like if you ever played this game called Metal Gear Solid 4, I kind of felt as if I've acted as this character for so long that I actually thought I was this person like so badly, and that I was trapped as this person, or I was always this person. Like it's hard to explain, but like I basically had a case of mistaken identity caused by myself, and I did that to, I guess, understand people and to be closer to them, to be more understanding of their plight or whatever. Now, was that a good idea? No, absolutely not. Like, you have to like be yourself. You have to understand the differences between, individuals, and like, what you do on a day to day. Like, I'll give you like a small example. Like, almost every single time I'm going out and I am going to, encounter, beautiful women in a public setting, I always shower right before I do this. And I used to think that this was something that was trivial or something like every other guy did, until I started clubbing hardcore and I realized that like, no, like the differentiation between individuals and stuff, like the necessity for hygiene, like the care, it's not universal. And then when like you see why people are dealing with this dilemma of like, oh, the birth rates are not doing so good, or like, social cohesion is not so great, or like people don't trust each other. It's like, yeah, it's more the same. Because I think, and I'm gonna come off saying sounding shallow like this, but and I got this as an assessment from, looking at girls and stuff. So take that with a grain of salt, right? Like, it could be an obsession that I have deluded myself with, and I could be absolutely wrong about. But the way I see it is, when you have an image of an individual that has achieved a certain level, whether it's appearance, strength, both, like, I think it's like the big three that everybody just wants. They want the fame, the fortune, and the physique, right? And I'm probably in my lifetime just gonna get one or two if I'm lucky, because it's like I can't handle the fame, right? Like I think fame for me will be like the success of my company, or the company that I'm working with, or people I'm working with, whatever I'm gonna call it, so I could give it to my kids, and that'll be that. Like, I don't have anything more desirable that I want to achieve in life. But like as I started to achieve it, breaking through this like, mental barrier, this like persona that I created, more and more I began to see that like, while it's not easy, right? Like nothing's easy, right? Um it's not impossible, basically is what I'm saying. Actually, on a scale from 1 to 10, I would give it a difficulty of around like 8 to 9, depending on like, your bones, how tall you are, this and that. Like, your height actually matters in terms of how fast you build muscle, because on average, taller people tend to build muscle slower. It's just I go all out with like pre-workout and stuff. I'm like, you know, just drinking a lot of water, exercising, yada yada yada. But like, I use that as a means to, I guess, achieve more in a shorter amount of time. And I know that like inevitably my body's gonna want to like, go back to normal and just not have a constant amount of like, blood and water and creatine floating around, along with what is it, beta alanine and all those other chemicals that they put in pre-workout, caffeine. Thankfully, like this pre-workout that I have doesn't have that much caffeine, so that's a good plus, right? But like I realized that there's a lot of guys out there, and even if they went through all this shit, like they did every single thing, like they could even be way stronger than me. They can lift twice as much. They can like, you know what I mean, like be twice as athletic. Once they get that cut, and then they see their face for what it really is, like it's kind of like, um, I guess the self realization, I guess, right, of like who you really are, what you really are. And I think like the baby fat, like the face fat, gives us all that. Well, for us men, right? I think women are allowed more or less to have that, but like for us guys, like once you pass that barrier and then like you're starting to look at yourself with that specific type of face feature, like either you look good with your face thinned out like that or you don't. And I'll make an analogy actually, like, and it's kind of a bad one, but I just want to like draw a similarity to something that like it has a similar effect to it. So like let's say you're losing like a lot of weight and previously you've held on to like a lot of weight. So your stomach, your waist was like ballooned out, like your gut was hanging, etc., etc., right? So what I'm saying is like your skin was stretched, right? So when you lose the weight, when you burn the fat, it actually has a hanging skin effect. And I think like that's the best analogy I can make to people who go through that and then they realize that like, oh shit, I'm actually not that good looking. Oh, I'm actually, because of like these numbers on this looks maxing chart, which I feel sorry for because it's like, does it actually really matter to like have this thing where you have a bunch of people, celebrities, male models, whatever, and then you have like a number point system, and then like you measure between the eyes and the nose and how big the lips are, and like whatever. It seems a little irrational, but then like you understand like why they do it. It's because Happy Pride Month, everybody. Like, like some people are just coming to the table, and then some people are just like, opening the door for the very first time. Like like they're someone's holding their hand. It's like it's okay. I'll take you down Rainbow Road. You know, follow me. And he won't let go. He won't, no matter how hard you try. Oh man, and like, I think that I bring that up because for the guys who don't have to suffer from that, right? Like the analogy I bring with Henry Nowak and Vikram, right? Like the face, just the way it looks, the dimensions, the features, the strength, the height. It's something that we have to start dwelling upon and like start embracing. We have to start being prideful. We have to start understanding the truth of pride, the limits of our body, the discomfort of your own personal limitations, if you will. And I think that like there is a beauty to it when you're like, coated in your own sweat for the upteenth time, and like sometimes it feels a little bit cold. It's like you just don't have enough heat in your body. I don't know, maybe that's like me personally, because it's like my house is like stupidly like leveled air conditioned, so it's just like I feel like drafts all the time. But like, the upteenth time, sweating, 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 and just winning at that. Because a lot of guys out there are taking that shortcut with the PEDs, with the steroids, and like it is tempting, trust me. Like even I was tempted. Like beyond the whole take it for, like, reversing the whole gyno and shit, which I was born with. um, yeah, I thought about it. I think a lot of guys did, but if you didn't, go down that path, like we all knew deep down that there was going to be side effects. We just didn't know how severe. I think the biggest one is distended gut, which unfortunately Joe Rogan suffers from. But it's like whatever, right? Like he was in the UFC, so like if anybody who's gonna be taking this shit, I would expect it to, be guys who are like fighting and stuff, right? But like that being said, that's the war that we're in. We're in a war with guys who crossed over or who have like that affliction, if you will, and then they hate the rest of normal guys and like even themselves. Like they hate their past version of themselves because it reminds them of how good they look. It's like look at my high school picture, look at my picture graduation, look at my picture in my college years, all that shit. And then like and there's nothing wrong with like going bald or looking old or this or that, but like the idea that you do that and you're not strong, like that's why it's like it's so important to get ripped. It's so important to like lift heavy weights. Even like me eating beef and like turning my back on my religion and you know embracing everything for strength. You know, it was my pride. So yeah, take care, everybody.